Good evening, everyone. Not often I say good evening to you, but yes, it's getting on for 4:30 here in the UK. I've tried to make this video 3 times today. This is the 3rd time. The first cut I made first thing in the morning, and Metatron said, "You can tell you haven't had a good night's sleep, Amanda." So I think I was a little bit too tough love in it. So he asked me to redo it. Second version I made about 11 o'clock and was okay, except I forgot a couple of really important things that I wanted to say. So I've just been for a walk, which is why my hair is all flat and horrible. Makeup's all ugh. But anyway, it doesn't matter what I look like. It's to do with the message, of course. And it's quite an important message, which is why I'm trying to get it right. And it's to do with, obviously, what went off yesterday in terms of inauguration ceremony in America. So let's get to it. These are my observations and my intuitive hits linked into what I saw. I'm also going to reference back to what I have seen in the past that links into these times as well. First thing I would like to say is, at the outset, is that I'm going to set the intention that this video is one for anybody. Doesn't matter who you voted for. If you wish for your country, USA, to be more united, then it's time to come together in love and unity. And this video, I'm going to try and bring through some higher guidance. And if you're open to hear that, brilliant. If you're really not, and let's just be honest, if you're really not, and you just are going to hate anything that I say, which might be at all positive, linked into Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, let's just do all of us a favour and just click off. You know, it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to trigger you. I'm not trying to anger anybody. I'm just trying to bring through the messages that I'm meant to. Okay, so that being said, if you're staying with me, thanks very much. And let's get to the message. Sorry, I know I've got glare on my glasses, but my eyes are tired, and you're just going to have to cope with it. As you can see, I'm in quite a feisty mood today. Metatron saying, "Go for it, girl." Okay, right. Yesterday, 20th of January 2021, we had the inauguration of President Biden, 46th President of the USA, and Kamala Harris as Vice President. Where shall we start, Metatron? I think I'd like to start actually a few days before the inauguration. I'd like to, at this point, just maybe put out a little bit of I know I don't have to apologise to anybody, but it's important that I also own when I haven't been able to bring something to the table that ideally I could have. And I think you have to understand that I'm a very human being with all of my, foibles and flaws like all the rest of us. And I can go into a little bit of fear like anybody, despite the guides that I work with, because I'm a human being. And in the lead up to the inauguration, there was so much speculation from so many people on, YouTube, BitChute, all the other alternative platforms that some people are going to now, linked into what potentially could have happened yesterday. Particularly, I've read all of it, from potential nuclear strikes to Chinese invasion to military control to some sort of event that was going to blow apart the infrastructure and lead to shortages, whether they be food, water. I woke up on the 20th and with somebody's words ringing in my ears about, go and run a bath of water because, the water supplies might be shot today. Emergency broadcasts that were supposed to be happening across the world, blackout media. 99.9% of me knew that none of this was going to come to pass. But there's always a 0.001%, which is your shadow and ego, and maybe it's bigger than that, which sort of says, yeah, but what if that is the case? Why I'm wanting to just sort of own something and sort of do a bit of an apology is the fact that I knew in my heart of hearts, I can't prove this to you, but I knew in my heart of hearts it was going to go off peacefully. But there was a bit of fear with me in terms of, yeah, but what if I get it wrong? What if I get it wrong? And what if I mislead people? Because I do feel there's a position of responsibility when you come on and do these type of videos. I would just like to say that I've learned from that experience, and next time I will know to trust my gut more, okay? But it is hard when you're going against the narrative of a lot more that's out there. And some of the people that were talking about this stuff that potentially could have happened yesterday, they were getting millions of views, and I'm talking millions and millions of views. And, you know, you just think, well, hold on a minute. And everyone is looking at that and no one's really focusing on this other alternative. That's what it felt like to me, although I know a lot of you were. This other alternative reality, which is actually, it's all going to be fine. It's going to go off pretty peacefully. And actually it feels quite good. So I'm pleased to report that that is actually what happened. And yeah, so I've learnt from that. Okay, I've learnt from that. And this video, I'm just going to go for it and say exactly what I saw and what I felt. I'd also like to say that I've got great respect for the people out there who, over the last 48 hours, have come out and said, actually, we got it wrong. And we thought XYZ was going to happen, but it didn't. And actually bringing through a unifying call. And I think that's brilliant. And I won't name one particular person that did it, but I really respect the fact that he did. And I have great respect for that, because there's a lot of other people who are trying to spin the story to fit in with the narrative that they have been, you know, talking about over months or even a year plus. On Instagram yesterday, before the inauguration, I did a video called Storytelling, and it was a very, very persistent call from Archangel Metatron, and he wanted me to talk about storytelling or storytellers, and that we need to be aware of what we're listening to and whether it is fact or fiction, because there's a lot of blurring of the two at the moment, and it's fine as long as you realise that there can be a blurring of the two, and you take everything with a pinch of salt and you use discernment in terms of anything that you watch. And what Metatron gave me was a heads up that some of the people that were going to be proven wrong would spin it a different way and just bring in another new chapter and not own the fact that they got it wrong yesterday. So just be aware that that energy is out there at the moment, and it's very popular. And the thing Metatron was talking about is the fact that storytellers will always bring in grains of truth, but then often can mix it with a bit of, as I say, fiction as well. So just be very wary. I won't go on because I think I talked relatively eloquently about that yesterday. If you're not on Instagram, I'm there on my account's called Angelic Celestial Colours. Okay. So what did I see yesterday then? These are just a few observations. I really noticed the energy of White Eagle. Now, you know that I've talked about White Eagle for a little while linked into Joe Biden. And the reason is that if we track back, I don't know, 9 months, a year, can't remember what time scale, I did a video where I was looking at all of the presidential candidates. And there was a guide that came forward for each of them. Everybody has obviously got a guide. Everybody's got a team in spirit that are trying to help them be the best they can be. And the one that came through for Joe was White Eagle. Now, why I felt White Eagle's energy around yesterday is that, again, if you follow me regularly, you may know and remember that I said, again, I can't remember what timescale we're talking, maybe a year ago, that the first few times that I tried to channel White Eagle, or even became aware that White Eagle was a guide wanting to work with me as well, it started to snow. It started to snow. Now you might think, well, what's the big deal there? Well, it is a big deal where I live, because I live in the UK. I'm on the south coast. I'm in one of the warmest places on the south coast. it never snows. I've lived here for maybe 20 years and we've probably had snow 5 times. I mean, maybe not even that. It's really rare. So the fact that it snowed twice on 2 different days, 2 different occasions, and I don't think it was even one day after another, I always associated snow with White Eagle. It's just one of my little signs that he's around. So yesterday in the inauguration, I was really interested to see one of the reporters talking about the fact that they had planned for everything. They'd planned for every single eventuality, but they hadn't planned for snow. Now, it obviously wasn't blizzarding, but there were flakes of snow that were apparently coming down during the inauguration process. And I really smiled at that because I knew who it was. I knew it was the energy of White Eagle. And what he was saying to me is that over and above many of the other arguments that were presented for or against the 2 candidates, the one topic, the one thing that is absolutely imperative that has to be looked at, not just by USA, but by all countries around the world, is the environment and Mother Earth's need to be put centre stage and her needs heard. I've said all this in every video that I've done about Joe Biden, that I feel as though his environmental policies will be stronger than Donald Trump's would have been. And I think this is why the White Eagle energy is particularly linked into Joe's administration. So yeah, that was the first observation. I also felt there was a lot of elemental energy around that ceremony. I noticed that when Joe stood up to give his speech, that the sun came out. The sun was shining very brightly onto him. Make of that what you will, in the spotlight or something more. But the sun was definitely out. The snow was falling very, very gently. So I noted that. I also, before the ceremony began, I actually lit a candle for peace. And I would have lit a candle for peace if it had been Donald Trump as well. I would have lit a candle for peace, whoever it had been, because ultimately where we should be now, one day after, is hoping for the best and wishing a new administration well, to be able to cater for all members of the public from all quarters of the country, and to do the best that they potentially can. And if you're not wishing that and you're wishing that they fail, I'm not really sure what to say to you, because my view is that you're shooting yourself in the foot, because we're all one. So if you wish somebody ill and you hope that they foul up, you're actually hoping that you yourself trip up. And again, that's not just applicable to America, it's applicable everywhere. And yes, I do walk my talk, and I do try and get behind any administration that we've ever had in this country as well, whether I voted for them or I haven't. It's what I truly believe we need to do. So, yeah, I lit the candle for peace, and I had out my grid that I've had in my room for at least 6 months, because I was told I could not put it away until after they had been sworn in. And these were the 3 guides that I feel were helping the transition process to be as smooth as possible. Although having said that, there were also some others in spirit that I knew were around. And again, I've talked about these if you've watched my other videos. JFK came through months previously saying he was going to steer the ship into the harbour. Also had the energy of John Lennon in particular, peace ambassador. But these 3 guides, White Eagle I've talked about. I haven't talked about Commander Ashtar, but I felt Ashtar's energy around. And this one, which has been the biggest surprise for me and something I've really learnt from over the last couple of months, which is Lord Ganesh, the remover of obstacles. Now, he's a stubborn, it's a stubborn energy. He waits to get the job done. So I had those 3 out, and I thought I'll pull one more just to see what the energy is for today. And I got Lady Nada. And Lady Nada is linked into heart awakening. And I think there were some moments where if you truly were able to watch with eyes without an agenda, And by that, I just mean putting down the sword and just truly being able to listen to what was being said. There were moments in that ceremony which were truly heart-opening. One in particular being the poet, Amanda Gorman, that read out that beautiful poem which was called The Hill We Climb. And I am going to refer back to that in a moment. But, if you listen to that poem and the way that she delivered it, and you actually thought about who she was and what she represented in terms of the future, and you still had a cold heart, I think there's some work to do there in terms of opening up to the possibility that actually change can come in via many different vehicles. And the thing is, I believe that Spirit always ultimately knows what is best for any particular country. And we get very caught up at ground level. We all do, I do as well, thinking that we know what the country needs. But from a higher perspective, which is Ashtar, they can see something more than we can, and they can also see how different timelines can play out based on different scenarios. So Lady Nada kept coming through with the energy of heart awakening. Heart awakening was very present as well. What else would I like to say? Also noted that now I haven't actually looked, I'm waiting for Steve Judd to post up a video, or Jenny from Astrology for Ascension. Both of them, I'm sure, will be covering it, linked into the times that Biden and Kamala were sworn in. I know that Steve did a video 24 hours before the inauguration where he was assuming that it would take place at midday. It actually looked as though it happened 11 minutes early, which I also think is quite interesting. Again, if you watch me regularly, I talk about number 11 the whole time. Number 11 being, it's many things. It's a gateway energy, it's a portal, it's a wake-up call. It signifies change anyway. And it's almost like sprinkled with some spiritual fairy dust. So 11 is a master number. So it looks like Biden was sworn in 11 minutes early. Some people are saying 11:48, some are saying 11:49, I'm not quite sure. Kamala looks like she was sworn in at 11:41 or 11:42. But anyway, it was a little bit ahead of the midday time that people were expecting. So that could be something to look at. Now, one of my friends on Facebook yesterday, I don't know whether she wants me to say her name or not, so I won't say it just in case, but she is an astrologer, and she did just have a quick look at it for me in terms of the timing. Actually, it's Jenny Burak, Astrology for Ascension. Jenny said to me yesterday, the moon was at 29 Aries, which is called the music of the spheres, attunement to cosmic order. So I'll let her speak more on that and cover the astrology off. But yeah, that tied in with what I had been talking about, again, months previously, maybe 9 months previously, where I was shown that whoever won, at the moment of inauguration, there was going to be this blessing effectively coming down from Spirit to whoever was appointed. So if that's correct, that, how does Jenny describe it? The music of the spheres, attunement to cosmic order. I mean, attunement to cosmic order very much reminds me of the Ashtar energy as well. So I really do feel that these are days where we need to be taking off the blindfolds that we've all had about all candidates, okay, all candidates, whatever your perception has been of them, and I would include Trump in that as well, that we have to start to see that everybody plays the part that they're meant to play. I do think also that Mike Pence was extremely dignified yesterday. I thought he carried himself with great dignity, and I think it's important to note that. It was very striking. I thought it was very striking that he conducted himself with dignity. Okay, so I've covered off the timing. What else? Oh, sorry. That's my music turning itself on. That's interesting. What was that? That was a bit of Mike Oldfield and Maggie Riley, Moonlight Shadow. Oh, come on, you can't make it up. Okay, I'm not an astrologer. I can't even begin to try and comment on that. But anyway, good song, good song. What else do I want to say? I want to talk about the colours that were evident yesterday. So Kamala Harris wore a very beautiful and very striking purple coat. As a colour therapist, which is what I am, the fact that she chose purple was absolutely spot on. Whether you like the woman, whether you don't like the woman. I'm just talking from a colour energy perspective. Purple is the combination of red and blue together. Whether she did it consciously or whether she did it unconsciously, it was because colour speaks to our subconscious. Colour speaks to our subconscious. So when you look at purple, for example, you're taking in the qualities of that colour ray. I suspect she did know what she was doing and it was a conscious choice, but it was the merging of the blue and the red, trying to bring in the energy of unity, the olive branch basically. Purple is also a colour that's very linked into the crown chakra and an alignment to spirit as well. So I thought the purple was a very interesting colour for her to have chosen. Talked about that. What else did I note? Yeah, that poem that was read out by Amanda Gorman. I wasn't aware who she was. So when she stood up, and I've just got her photograph here in front of me, you can look her up yourself. She's wearing the most beautiful yellow coat or jacket. She looks absolutely stunning, I have to say. And I wasn't sure who she was because, I don't know, I must have switched it on and she hadn't been introduced or it didn't mean anything to me. And I thought, is she the granddaughter of Martin Luther King? That's what I was thinking. I thought, is she the granddaughter? And then they said, no, she's the poet laureate. And I thought, oh, wow, how perfect is that? Because again, Metatron had been talking about storytelling that morning, you know, before she'd stood up and done what she was doing. And he was talking about, you see, for me, it was just such perfection and synchronization, because here was somebody who was weaving a story via poetry to try and take us to a higher place. I mean, the poem itself is called The Hill We Climb, and the fact that we're all trying to climb it together. It was the most beautiful piece of poetry. And I think that speech, which is effectively what it was, will go down in history and people will remember that for years to come. It was absolutely gorgeous. I will read a couple of lines out from it, but I would encourage you to actually go and listen to it yourself, because I'm being told it's actually an instrument. I'm hearing it's an instrument to help open up the heart to the new wave of energy that basically came in yesterday. I'm very aware as I'm talking like this that some people feel as though it was the complete opposite of that and believe that, you know, it's bringing in something very dark, very evil. You know, I don't believe that is true. I don't believe that is true. Okay, so I'm not going to comment on that, because if that's how you feel and that's what you believe, that's fine that you believe that. And I've already said there are many channels on YouTube which have got millions and millions of views that will feed you that narrative if that's what you want. But that's not what I'm doing here, and it's not what I'm feeling from what I saw energetically yesterday or what I heard with my own two ears, okay? Evil doesn't tend to speak with, you know, the voice of love. Evil tends to speak with a forked tongue, okay, that expression. So, you know, if you actually truly open your ears to listen to what was said yesterday, not just by her, but also by Joe, they were words of love and they were words of unity. To me, it's non-negotiable. But anyway, Amanda's words, I just wanted to pick up a little bit towards the first passage. She said, we, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. We close the divide because we know to put our future first. we must first put aside our differences. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to no one and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that will forever be tied together victorious. Not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. The last two lines as well are beautiful, and this being quoted everywhere today. And she says, the new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light. If only we're brave enough to see it. If only we're brave enough to be it. Should we just repeat that? For there is always light. If only we're brave enough to see it. And if only we're brave enough to be it. Could have that on a t-shirt, couldn't we? Just it's like we really need to integrate that we have to be brave enough to be the light. And we also have to be, we have to let down some assumptions that we might have built up about who holds the light and who doesn't. Back to what Metatron was saying yesterday with regard to storytellers and storytelling. There was caution there from him, because what he was alluding to is the adrenaline rush that you can get from being very captivated by a particular story that is very exciting, very gripping, has lots of twists and turns, and you don't know what's going to happen next. The heroes are like caped crusaders, in shining white light. And the baddies are, almost like something out of a cartoon book as well. Those of you that have followed my Violet Pill teaching will know that that really is an illusion, because there are cardboard, it's almost like it goes deeper than just cardboard cutout characters that we have on our world stage. Everybody ultimately actually plays a role, and we've all played both good and evil as well, in many lives that we've had. And even if, there is evil in this world, there's no doubt about that, but you also have to understand that until society puts down, as Amanda says, puts down its arms and no longer wants to sow division, when that happens, there's going to be no need for war. There's going to be no need for aggression. There's going to be no need for the ego fight. And as a result of that, darkness is going to find it very hard to bloom in that energy. Okay, darkness blooms where there is division, where there is separation, where there is a lack of understanding, where we've closed our hearts and minds to each other. So it's almost as though we all need to come back and listen to each other a little bit more, but equally put down our arms. And I feel as though yesterday was very much about the arrival of a new cycle. And for those that wish to see it as that, there is a portal through to bring in a new way of being for humanity as a whole, and for Mother Earth as well. So, those were the main things that I actually wrote down yesterday. Just want to see if there's anything else I want to say now. I think I'll just pull one final card for America or USA today from the same deck that I'm using here, which is the Kyle Gray Keepers of the Light deck. Okay, so let's just pull one card. Faith, the energy of faith. And it says humanity and benevolence. It says stay calm, trust the good in yourself and others, and see the light in the world. See the light in the world. And the more that you focus on the light, the more that we can generate more of that. The more that you stay hooked into the darkness and the horror stories, the more that we're going to generate that. It's the basic rule of manifestation. So personally, I wish the new administration well, and I wish the country well. And I'm looking forward now to moving the narrative on to other things. So I just wanted to get this video out today to comment on it, and then we'll be back in the next few days with something else. I'm not quite sure what yet, but lots of love to everybody. Take care of yourselves, stay well. Bye-bye for now. Bye. Remember to like and subscribe as well, please. Thanks very much. Bye-bye. Bye.